Hey, so maximizing your time when you're trying to think about how to start your accounting business from home, okay? So this is some things that if I would have known this when I first got started, it would have saved me a lot of heartache, a lot of time, and just would have helped me reach my goals a lot faster than when I got started with my bookkeeping and accounting business back in 2015. So the main thing when you're starting a business is all about understanding time management. So it's how much time do you want to spend with your children? It's how much time do you want to spend on vacations? How much time do you spend at work? It's how much time do you spend driving to and from work? It's how much free time do you have? Do you have hobbies? Like really balancing every aspect of your life that allows you to be able to grow in a way that is very sustainable. Oftentimes I hear people say things like, I'm going to work like 8, 9, 10 hours a day when I first get started with my business. And like, that's for people that, if they're doing it full time. If they're not, they're like, I just want to focus. I've actually found that it's actually easier to grow a business if you have less time to run it, because there's a certain law, certain principle. I can't remember exactly what the name of the principle is, but the amount of time it takes to do something oftentimes shrinks or expands to the time frame that's allotted. So the less time frame you have to give something, the faster it gets done. So it's actually very, very interesting. So a lot of the times, like if you have a job and you're like, well, I can't really get a successful business because I have a job, right? Because I have this. That's not actually the case. It's actually easier for you to grow your business if someone has like too much time. And again, I know it sounds counterintuitive. Just trust me on this. I was more productive when I went back to work and ran my accounting firm than I was in the 6 months when I quit my job initially back in 2015. And the reason why is because like the more time that you have, the more you're just kind of like, well, I feel like I don't have to get started with work until 12, or let me go to the grocery store, or let me go for a walk, or let me go exercise at the gym. And then you look up and it's like already like 3 p.m. in the afternoon. And then you know that once 3 p.m. comes home or comes around, then it's like, oh, I can't work after 5. So you only have 2 hours of work anyway, even though you had 8 to 10 hours in that day that was open. So if you only have 2 hours, it's the same amount of time that's going to be spent. So if you're going to be maximizing your time, step number 1 is everything that you do needs to have a long tail effect. Long tail effect means that you do something today and the amount of time that it keeps giving results is over time. It expands. So this time frame can be 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, right? The longer the time frame, the better the activity. See, one thing that most people struggle with is when they start, they use platforms like Upwork or they do like cold calling. Now, cold calling can get you clients. I'm not going to say that it won't. It's just very tough because you have to find the contact information. You have to have very thick skin. And generally, if you get a client, as soon as you stop cold calling, you're not going to get any more clients from that methodology. So it's very, very unsustainable, especially when you start scaling your business or if you're the only one doing the work. Upwork has a very short tail effect because oftentimes what happens is people are oftentimes paying for credits. So as soon as your marketing budget kind of runs up, where in the beginning, like some people have a larger marketing budget than others, so you might be able to like make it last for longer. But once those credits are spent, those credits are spent. Now in some cases you can follow back up with the leads, but oftentimes those job proposals are not going to be open by the individuals who you sent them to. So it can be very, very discouraging, right? So instead you always have to be thinking about like activities where like you do one thing and it builds on itself or on each other. So LinkedIn, right? Partnerships or virtual communities. Now when I say LinkedIn, so a lot of people, when I say LinkedIn, they kind of have this like built up thing. LinkedIn's like this magical place. It's not really that it's a magical platform or better than Facebook, better than Instagram, better than Twitter. It's just the use capabilities for the purposes that we're trying to use it for fit LinkedIn's business model perfectly. So if you think about it, on LinkedIn, it gives you the tools to be able to research who are you actually speaking to. Like what's their revenue, where are they located, what's their industry, are they a decision maker? A million different pieces of data points of criteria you can use to determine who you want to actually put inside of your network. Then over time, if you just, let's say you have 5 to 10 people who basically become your connection on LinkedIn. That's the same thing as like on Facebook, they call them friends. So 5 to 10 people basically become your friends on LinkedIn. If you do that for the span of, 360 days, that's a little bit over 2,000 to about 4,000 connections on LinkedIn. Now, generally on social media, there is a 1% rule, meaning that 1% of your total audience should end up working with you. That's kind of bare minimum, just kind of like a standard. Some people have a little bit more, some people have a little bit less. If you don't have any sales skills and you don't really have a good script, you don't really know what your price, you don't really know what you're doing, that number is going to be closer to 0, right? But if you do know what you're doing, it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% in some cases. Now, think about it like this too. Once you have that, let's say 2,000 people and 1% of them actually work with you, that's 20 clients. Worst case scenario, 20 clients at $500 per month, that's going to put you at your 10K per month goal, which is most people's starter goal. I know it's not every person's goal. Some people's goal is 4,000, 5,000, 6,000. Some people's goals are 15, 20, 25,000. I just like using it as a really round number for the average person to be able to do it. And it's a lot easier to kind of do multiplication around like zeros, ones and zeros. So that's kind of the number that we think of. Now, you're also stacking the deck in your favor because let's say that you go and you like get a client. Now, not every single client is going to stay with you for the long haul. It's on average, clients will stay with you for about 7 years, kind of what we see like as an industry average, but you might have one client that maybe goes out of business or just stops working for whatever reason, right? So when that happens, you just go back to your initial 2,000 people and you go find one more client. And anytime that you either need a client or you want to grow your business, it's in that audience, in that network. And every single time that you do we call them like rounds. So you do like round number 1 when you first get the connections, but then you do round 2, then round 3, then round 4. You maybe do 3 rounds per year through that entire database again, and then you get a new client every single time that you do that. You just keep doing that over and over again, and you can either grow your business as much as you want, or you can just replace the clients that you're losing so that your business basically stays the same. So once you get to we'll say 150 to 170,000 per year in your business, you just literally, if you know you lose 1 client a year, just get 2 clients and now you're automatically over that basically called a churn rate, right? But that's the power of LinkedIn. Once you've built it up, you can just keep going and just mining that same list over and over again as you get better and better at messaging, better and better at building relationships, better and better at making content, etc. Right? Next thing will be partnerships. So I like doing partnerships because I almost treat every single partnership like a LinkedIn profile. If you think about it, the only reason I have a LinkedIn profile is to get clients. So one profile can give me 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40 clients. But every referral partner can also give me 10, 20, 30 clients. So if I have 5 referral partners and I'm looking for them to send me between 1 to 4 consultation calls per year, let's say I have 10 of them, that's between 10 to 40 consultation calls. Now, generally when they come from a really solid referral partner, your close rate should be above 90%. So I can make it from 10 to 40 clients, right? So I'm basically stacking the deck in my favor so that 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, it gets easier for me to grow my business. I don't really have to rely on marketing. Now, the reason why am I even talking about marketing? It's because social media is designed to be social. When you're using it to actually go and get clients, you're actually using it for a purpose that it wasn't really intended to do. So Facebook was not really designed for you to go and send friend requests to people or message people and offer them a service. It just so happens that is an easy way to use the platform to go and get clients. But since Facebook does not like it, or LinkedIn doesn't like it, or whoever doesn't like it, they will limit how many connection requests, how many friend requests, how many messages you can send. Right? In a perfect world, you get on there, you pay Facebook, we'll say $10,000, and they let you have free reign. If I could do that, I would be making probably depends how much volume you can handle. Right? There's a reason why you can't just scale forever, right? How much work can you take on, how many sales calls can you take on, how much time do you have. But within reason, you could probably make $1 million a year pretty easily, assuming that you could handle the work. If you had an unlimited workforce, you could definitely go and get $1 million in your first year doing it. It's just the platforms limit you, so you can't actually do that. So your job is to figure out how to utilize the platform so that it keeps giving you more and more money no matter how you're using the platform. But where everyone is struggling is because most people are using these social media platforms, these different platforms, in a way that was not designed to be used, and they're thinking only about the short term. So they're always limited by whatever the platform tells them they can or cannot do. Right? So let's say you go into a Facebook group and the Facebook group is you cannot solicit here. Okay, well that's not the intended purpose of the group. So you solicit one time, they don't like you, they kick you out of the group. Okay, see, if you don't do the intended purpose, you get deplatformed. Same thing on Facebook. If your profile is the wrong thing too many times, Facebook will kick you off of Facebook completely. So your job is to learn how to do stuff within the profile limits that allow you to take everything off of social media, and you create this long-term effect that keeps giving you more and more and more money, right? That's all this is. That's all this game is. Next thing is you need to focus on only an Excel, even take a step back. An example, this is Audrey. So just like we talked about the LinkedIn, she has about 5,000 LinkedIn connections. She does about $25K per month in revenue. Now, anytime that she wants to get new clients, we have what's called a holiday respark campaign. Based around every major holiday, there's a set of messages you can send to get more people to actually sign up with you, even though everyone else thinks that you can't sign up clients because you're on vacations. Every single year at the beginning of the year, last year she got 17 consultation calls last January. This January, she got 14 consultation calls. This next January, we're anticipating she'll probably get between 14 to about 21. It just keeps growing and growing and growing because the people like her more and more and more every single time that she does another round. And it just keeps getting better and better and better and better. Cool. So to the next point. You need to focus on talking to customers that actually like you. Do not change your business model just because somebody tells you no. In the beginning, whenever we're starting our business, the only thing that matters is growing revenue, okay? Growing revenue is actually higher than doing the work. A lot of people think that it's doing the work. But if you never get a client, what does it matter how much work you do or how good your work is? It doesn't matter. I would rather go and get a bunch of clients very quickly and then have to maybe lose clients or get fired from clients because my service needs to improve or I need to get better than never having enough clients at all. I know that's counterintuitive, but remember, you don't have a business until you're making money. And your first client will be your worst client. I'm just being completely honest. Most people, their first client, they underprice it, they overextend themselves, and they're underappreciated. It's just going to be because you just don't understand how to really set yourself apart, how to command the right price point, and how to get people to respect you. So you're probably going to lose the first client anyway, right? So your goal is how can you get a significant number of clients and build the skill set of getting clients. Okay, getting clients is a skill set. It's not a place. People are always well, where's the best place to get leads? It's not a place. You can get leads at the grocery store. I'll tell you a story. So my parents, they sell art as they did it in their retirement. They ended up making more money selling artwork than actually they did in both of their jobs combined. And one thing that they started doing was putting their giant sculptures outside their house. They get anywhere between $20,000 to $30,000 a year from people walking up the street in their neighborhood. They don't live in this giant mega mansion kind of neighborhood. They live in a pretty regular neighborhood, right? Plus we live in the Midwest, so things are a bit cheaper over here. But outside of their house, they used to think they had to go to art fairs, they'd have to run advertisements, they had to do this. No, when you have the right thing and you have the skill set to get people to want to do stuff, you can get clients right outside of your door. So it's not about the location, it's about who are you being in that situation that causes someone to actually want to work with you. People ask I recently did a challenge inside of our community for our mentorship program. And I basically went on a random job site and I was saying, okay, within the job site, how fast can I get clients? I was doing it for a couple different reasons. Number one, I wanted to kind of build skills and just see what that platform was like. We also wanted to see what was the quality of the clients that were on there, just in case we want our students to start using it as an auxiliary kind of marketing channel. And the complaint with that channel is that there aren't very great clients. They don't pay a lot. It's hard to close clients, hard to find clients, bad contact information on that website. Within 5 days, we had closed our first client. Within 1 month, we had closed 4 clients from that platform. So it's not about the platform. It's about you. It's about our skill set to be able to know exactly what to say to get potentially a bad lead to become a good lead. Because some leads might be bad for one person, but they might be great for another one because this person understands how to turn a bad prospect into a good prospect. How to get someone that's willing, let's say that there's a person that wants to come to you and they're I want to pay $300 a month. People that are bad are that lead is terrible. I don't want to do that. Person that's good says, okay, I understand you want to pay $300 a month. Are you saying that $300 a month is all you can kind of cash flow wise can afford? Or is it just that's what you're comfortable spending? Those are two drastically different answers. One is that they can't afford it, so they're broke and maybe they don't want to be a good fit at the moment in time. The second one is they just don't value your service enough. So how do you drive up the value? Because that's another aspect of sales. You can either drive up the value by talking about how great your service is, or you can drive up the value by talking about how bad their current situation is and what are the different things that are coming up for them that are causing them to even get on the phone in the first place. Really ask yourself, if the person didn't value your service, why did they get on the phone? And if you don't know the answer to that, that means you did not ask them that question, which is why you don't know that answer, which is why they're not paying you the money, which is why they're going to pay me the money. You know? So it's like, that's the big thing, you know? But yeah, and the only people you really should take advice from are people that are actually doing your service. I don't care if someone says, oh, you don't have a website, I'm not going to work with you. I don't care if someone says, oh, you don't have a business card, I'm not going to work with you. I don't care if someone says, oh, your website has a typo, I'm not going to work with you. Oh, all you have is a LinkedIn, I'm not going to work with you. What does it matter? Focus on revenue generating activities. Do not get distracted. It's very easy when your confidence is low to just have so, and this is stuff that's happened to me. Like, people have told me this stuff as well, right? I had a website in the beginning, but I took it down because I just like didn't feel like it was working, right? So it's like for most of my career on both businesses, I don't have. Do I technically have a website? I kind of have a website for the mentorship program, but kind of, it's like a blog we just try to do to see if we get like some free views. I didn't have a website. I didn't even have a logo for either of my business for like the last like 10 years. Like, there was no logo. People think you need this stuff. I don't have business cards. It's like, it's just all the stuff that you think that you need to do is not really stuff you need to do. It's just because you're having trouble getting people to trust you. So they basically reach for straws as to things that they can play in their mind, not to say yes, but to kind of like not hurt your feelings, right? But if you go and then say, well, that person says my price is too high, so I have to lower all my prices because everyone thinks like that, that's the thing that's going to cause you to be stuck a lot longer than what you have to be. It might not be everyone thinks that. You could have just ran to a bad potential prospect. Okay, not all leads, not all consultation call people, like leads, are created equally. There are very good leads that you have to say one word to and they want to pay you $10,000 a month. There are bad leads where you have to feel like you're talking for 3, 4, 5 hours and they only want to pay you $1, right? So only make your decisions based on people that say yes. And what it's going to cause you to do is, since you're not going to have a lot of people that are paying you, it forces you to do those revenue generating activities we talked about in the beginning. Because now we're trying to find people who we can make adjustments to our service for based on who's already paying us money. Because we think about it like this. Do we want to really focus on people that are telling us no? Or do we want to get people that are already paying us and saying yes to like us more, refer their friends, and make it easier to market? Because we know what people who buy actually like. It's this option. So focus on what people who support you actually want. Make it better, make it great, and then you'll actually go and grow your business so much faster. And then finally, focus on charging some higher prices so you can bring on staff when the time is right, okay? So when I say charging high prices, you gotta remember, in most businesses, as you scale, your profit margin will go down. That means that you will either have to get more office expenses, equipment expenses, software expenses. You might have to get some staff members, so that's gonna be contractors, or if you want employees, you can do that. I generally prefer to do contractors. Also, you might eventually start paying for advertisements or buying leads and stuff like that. So it's like, it's going to get more expensive. So if you have razor thin margins when you're starting out, it's only going to get worse when you start to scale. I'll give you a good example from a different business model. So back in my e-commerce day, we were doing some pretty good revenue numbers. And I started selling the products. It was like basically drop shipping, but it was like retail arbitrage. I was trying to make all of my money off of like 1% profit margin. And I was just going to try and hit high volumes. So I was going to try and sell $1 million in a year worth of like drop ship products. And I was going to have a 1% margin on that. Was it 1% or 10%? It might have been 10% margin. Excuse me. It's been so long since I think of like 10 or 11 years. I like to say, because my goal is to really make 100,000. So it's about 10% margins. That's exactly actually 10% margins off of $1 million. But what I didn't know was, okay, at 10%, what is going to be my margin as, number one, there are hidden fees on the platform. I was using like eBay back then and Amazon, so there's hidden fees. There's also a fee for if like you have too many products on the store, they actually charge you more money per product. Also, I had virtual assistants that were helping me list and find more products and do product research. So that was another cost. And pretty soon, my 10% margin actually turned into like a negative 30% margin every single month. So I was losing money every single month. I'd be bringing in like 15 grand a month, and then I would like lose $3,000 a month. So on paper, on top line, if you weren't doing your accounting, you'd like just like most of your accounting clients do, right? You're seeing 15 grand. Oh, I'm doing great. But your bank account's going down and down and down and down. So the whole point of that is I didn't have enough margin in the beginning. In order for my business to have sustainably grown, I needed to have at least a 40% margin before I started having all those extra operating costs. It's the same thing with your business. So if you're operating things at such a razor thin kind of margin, let's say, for example, I'm not telling you to do hourly, but let's just say like you charged $40 an hour. Okay, and then you go and bring on a staff member. That staff member is like $35 an hour. That's $5 an hour worth of profit. That's not a lot, because that's not counting your other expenses that you're going to have in your business as you kind of grow. Because you're probably going to have a Gmail for that person. You're probably going to have some practice management software. You're going to have a communication hub, etc., etc. So let's say $5 an hour times 40 hours a week times 4. That's about $800 a month you'd be making off of that. Right? So that's assuming the person's working 40 hours a week for you. That, my friends, is crazy. 5 times 40 times 4, $800 a month. I don't know about you, but I would not want to be going from, what do we say, 40 an hour? 40 times 4, $6,400 top line, $800 a month bottom line. So that's not going to work. So you have to make sure you're charging a high price point so that you can afford to have good teammates, right? So I'd actually want to get that more to like $65, $75 an hour. So at least have a 50% margin. So when I start bringing on those people for $35, $40 per hour, I can bring on really good talent as well as not really having to worry about like breaking the bank, okay? So hopefully you learned something new. I'm not going to make a call to actions video. I just want to come to you, make sure you can save some time, and like just save on some of the stuff and the mistakes that I've made along the way. So I will talk to you inside of the next video. Take it easy. Talk to you soon.